Okay, this is the second video of checkpoint 2. I'm going to continue where we left off, just going over top of our orange here on both pumpkins. Okay, so you are going to, basically you're adding the orange over top. And I'll show you a technique that you can use to bring out the highlights so that it more obviously has like the bright areas, because using just the yellow isn't really doing it enough. Okay. Over this darker area, I don't want to go too dark with my my orange, because I am going to go back in with some other colors. I want to go back in with more red and purples to add some really dark in there. And like I told you guys, you can use purple or you can use like a darker blue. Don't use like that sky blue, because it'll make it look strange, because there's too much white in that. Alright. Keep going this whole way around, and then I'm going to go over to the smaller pumpkin and do the same thing. I'm trying to move fairly quick, guys, for two reasons. For one, I've got class soon, and the second one, I don't want this video to take up too much time, because I want you to be able to watch the whole thing. Okay. You can already see how the red that I added is helping that side look a little bit darker than this side. Okay. So see how that is starting to add a shadow, but we are going to go back in and make it even darker. Over here. This is a little bit too harsh of a line. I'm probably going to have to go back in with my red and kind of blend it a little bit better, because as of right now it's pretty harsh outline going on. I was probably rushing through, and that's what happens. Yeah, it's looking pretty harsh. So after I get done this orange, then I am going to go back in with that purple, like I said, in the dark areas. And I will probably also erase out some for the highlights, like I was telling you that, that there was something that you could do to really make it look like others' highlights. So right now I'm actually going to take blue to add in my darks. So over here on this side, this is going to be my shadow side. So I'm just going to go in the darkest areas where it's going to be like the seam, like where the crease of the pumpkin. Now, obviously, it's going to react with the orange because it's also going to react with the yellow that's in there. Like, as you can see, you're getting some greenish hues to it. That's okay. That's normal. You just want to kind of go in the darkest areas. And notice how I'm not coloring really dark with it. And I kind of want to do what I normally do, which is blend it out, because you don't want it just to be a harsh outline. Okay, so as you can see, that's going to add that dark shadow. Okay, and this is what I was talking about, where you're going to have a bunch of layers. So in some spots the blue might react with the red and it'll start looking a little purplish. In some spots it's going to react with the yellow and it's going to look a little bit green. I'm trying to keep the darkest area to be that, center line, basically the line where the crease of the pumpkin, the indent. Okay. This is going to be a lot of pencil control for you. To really make it look good, you have to control your pencil so that you're not going too dark. You're controlling where you're adding the color, and you're not scribbling. You're shading it really nice, trying to keep it nice and even. Okay, I'm going to show you what it's going to look like once you go back in with your orange, adding a layer of orange on top, just so you can see really how it's going to. Okay, if you feel like you need to really kind of go over top of that, you can still add more. Okay, so you see how that looks a lot more defined than, say, the one next to it? That's what's really going to make it look good in the end. Just going back and forth and adding, your layers of color. And you just really need to kind of take a step back and look at it. A lot of the times when you're working on an artwork, sometimes you can get too close, meaning like you're staring at it for all this time and you can't really see, is it doing what I need it to do? So, take it and either have someone hold it for you and take a couple steps back from it. so you can really see what's going on and are you getting that definition and that shading that you're looking for so that it has that three-dimensional quality about it. Okay? If you're not getting it, then you're going to need to go back in and add a little bit more shading. And, you know, sometimes it takes really looking at it from far away to realize that, oh, you know, what I was doing, it wasn't quite dark enough, or, you know, I can't really see where the highlights I was trying to put in are. And then you just kind of reevaluate and you add more shading and different colors and you know, go back in. Because right now, this looks a lot more defined than in here or any of those. So what I'm doing right now is this is kind of my threshold. This is like the area where I'm going to pretty much end my blue. My blue's not going to go... Oops, sorry. That's for my normal class schedule. Which it's not time for that. But anyway, like I was saying, this is going to be where I'm going to kind of stop my blue, and then it's going to be the red that's going to really add the, you know, the dark areas and the definition for the three-dimensional quality of it. Whereas over here, it's going to be this blue that I'm adding in. And remember, also, the shadows are going to start, because I'm having my light source come from this side, so my shadows are going to be down here. I know notice I'm getting a lot of orange, like smudging from my pumpkins. That'll be alright, because I am going to erase it out, and then I'll go over top with the blue for my shadows. Alright, I'm just going to try to go kind of quick for you guys. So I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing with the blue. Defining the creases, because that's the thing, you don't want to lose that in your shading. You don't want that to get kind of flattened out, because then it really will lose its three-dimensional quality. And since we already have like a different view where we're looking at the pumpkins from above, you really kind of need to keep that rounded edge of it, otherwise it's not gonna look very good. Alright, so my stem is going to create a shadow on my pumpkin. Kind of like that. Alright, this is where it's going to end here. This is going to be the last area of the blue for this side. Alright. I am going to go back over some areas up here with my red. I feel like it needs more definition. When we went over with our orange, it kind of lost its definition. Alright, so if you see, there's still some light areas in here that are kind of blending into nothingness. We gotta make sure that they're defined. Okay. Alright, so same idea with this pumpkin over here. Make sure you're going in with your blue on the dark areas. So you know blue is the complementary color of orange, and that's why we're using it. I know we've used some other colors in here like yellow and red, but the vast majority of what we're using is orange, so that's why we're going in with the blue to add the really dark areas. Now, if you notice how the blue is reacting differently on this pumpkin, it's because I've already saturated the paper a lot. So the color pencil doesn't kind of know where to stick. So it's making it a little bit more difficult to get those shadow areas to show up. Watching my time. And I am going to have to do another video for the stem and the shadow. So you're going to be looking for that video number 3 as well. Okay. I don't want to make each video too long. So it's just easier if I break it up, break the drawing up into different sections. But the stem shouldn't take that long, so I should be able to put the shadow in with the stem. And I may even go and put the highlight area in there as well, because that's kind of like finishing touches. So alright, so I'm going to stop the shading with the blue right here on this one. Okay, so I do want to add more on this one though. That's my shadow for my stem. This other pumpkin being kind of in front of it blocks out some of the light, so that's why this pumpkin as a whole is a little bit darker anyway. So that's why I continue with the blue up a little bit higher on this one. But I think that's where I'm going to pretty much stop that part. Maybe add a little bit of a line. For the really dark areas. Okay, and like I said before, you can go over top of your shading with some orange. You don't want to go over it so much that it gets really your blue, where it really blocks it out. We want to be able to see that dark area. But we also don't want any of the white of the paper really showing through. Okay. Okay, and this one. I kind of use my orange to kind of blend in some of this so that it's really kind of vibrant. All right. Notice that I did keep this on top of my sketchbook even though I pulled it out. The reason for that is if I had drawn on top of this, it would have picked up the wood grain of my table, and I don't want that. I don't want wood grain pumpkins. That would look weird. So that's where I'm going to stop for this video. And I'm going to show you the next one is going to be our stems and the shading of the table. And probably adding in some highlights on the pumpkins. Alright guys, I'll see you in class.